3, 2, 1. All right. Week 5. Actually, we're in week 6 now. Dana War, the only undefeated, 5-0, dominant. Also,
I got a 2-game lead on you clowns.
Yeah, well, we know, like, yeah, and the other thing, I was like, maybe this is fool's gold. I was checking your stats, so like, you're 5-0, only undefeated squad. Also, like, it's not fool's gold. Like, you have like the fourth highest like point total, points scored or whatever. So that's like in the range to where it's reasonable that you're undefeated. Also, I'm just gonna make one more note. Then you need. Well, actually, let me back it up a little bit because historically, I was double checking this. Your finishes every year. 4th overall, year 1. You won the second year. Then you were 6th, a little bit of a dip. And then last year you were number 2. And like your point differential, I think there's only 1 year that you don't have like a significantly positive point differential in the other years. So I'm saying I'm going to go ahead and say Dana War is the 2000s era Spurs of the Millsap Memorial League. That's what I'm saying. Only 1 championship, like not exact, but up there. So anyway, one more stat that I think is wild. You're 5-0. You got the 4th highest points, total or whatever, and you've made 0 moves, 0 transactions of any kind. Like, what is going on? So, like, whatever. Smack talk. Give your secrets. Let's go. What is happening here?
It's that draft strategy, baby. No, so I am the least intimidating 5-0 whatever 1 seed I think I've ever seen. Like, I mean, like, I have a decent team. I'm doing pretty good so far, but I don't think anybody's like shaking in their boots to play me. Like, I was scared to death of Matt McGrone last week because, man, he's got some people on his team who can put up a big fat number real quick, with these triple doubles and everything.
Yeah.
And I skated by him that last day. Old Damian Lillard, he always gets everybody with those West Coast game times. Everybody's like, oh, man, I've got him. And then Dame comes in at 10 p.m. His game gets over at like 3 a.m. And he's dropped like 60, 70 points on you. He can make up a difference fast.
Well, that's what, before I went to bed last night, I texted the both of you, and I was like, hey, you guys have the best matchup. Like, y'all are 2 of the strongest teams. Y'all are matched up. Great matchup. So I like the storyline there. That's kind of nice. Is it perfect for whichever one of y'all wins? And that's what it was. I mean, I went to bed. I was like, I think Matt's going to, oh, wait, there's Dame. And then I didn't even check it afterward. I just checked the final score. But I'm sure Dame probably, what did he do last night? How many did he score last night?
It was like close to 60. It was like 57. I don't even know. Maybe it wasn't that much. Whatever it was good. It got me over the hump. And Matt slid in there. I think he was trying to get like a last minute pickup, and the guy only got him like 10 points or something, which is a huge bummer.
Happens.
But yeah, so I have a draft strategy. I'm not going to give it in this.
Give us a part of the plan, like a part of the plan or something.
So yes, there is balance to the plan, and it has less to do with getting stars than it does getting that balance. Okay.
Hey.
So I don't want to give it specific, but like every year I have the exact same strategy going into the draft. I don't do any preparation. I'm not like sitting there, ranking my players and doing all that stuff, before. I kind of like give a broad look, at the team. I've usually got like a guy or 2 on my radar. Kentucky helps me because watching, Kentucky basketball all the time, not only do I know their best players and whether or not they're probably going to be pretty good in the league, but I also have seen enough of who they match up against and who's, a good rookie pick, like one of those last few picks, of the draft. This year, let's see, I think my good pickups were, well, here, I'll tell you right off the top. Embiid and Lillard are not sexy picks. I don't know why. They're both good. Listen, they're both really good. But based on like what you see in like, ESPN media, all that stuff, like you're always going to go with, Durant, LeBron, like there's bigger names, out there. But Embiid, he's leading my team right now, averaging 50. Lillard's only averaging 45. He was averaging 53 or something last year, and he usually turns it on, later in the year. But like, because of like, he just doesn't get as much media exposure now. He was my keeper this year. And same with Embiid, he's kind of a doofus, but when you have those 2, I fly under the radar with that right off the bat, being my first 2. The stinker of my draft was Lonzo Ball. I thought he would like kind of fill up the stat sheet because he's kind of involved. He's in the mix on every stat there, but he's been just laying an egg this year. I think, what do I got here? He's averaging 26. Boo boo.
But so has the whole
DeMarcus
Pelicans
Cousins.
team, and you would think the Pelicans are going to pick it up at some point. So anyway, but yeah,
Yeah.
Boogie. Let's talk Boogie. That's your main UK guy.
Okay, man, Cousins, he's been playing with my heart. So like very first game that he played, and he's been like all over the place with like COVID protocols. He got ejected out of a game. And then like, the Harden trade and like that affected the team for a little while. And so his first game that he played, in fantasy, getting me fantasy points, he lit it up. He got like 40 some points. And I was like, oh yes, like I've got this, like I got him like second to last pick, this is great. And then he went on this like bozo run. He was scoring like 2 points, 3 rebounds, that was his full stat line.
Right.
He'd have like 10, 12 points. And I kind of wrote it out for a little while because I was like, let's get through this trade. And then he had another stinker game. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give him one more game. And he's getting dropped because he was just doing so bad. And then he puts up like 50 something points. What was it, Saturday? Where's he at? Yeah, Saturday, 54.25 point, had 28 points and 17 rebounds. So, like, I don't know what he's doing with me. He's, like, all over the place. But I'm hoping that's a trend of things to come.
Just when you think you can be out, he's reeling you right back in. Just when you think you can get out.
Yeah. He knows how to get me, yeah. He's got that Kentucky effect on me, so.
Well, I hear what you're saying, that maybe nobody's terrified of you, but I mean, 5-0, you trouncing everybody, taking down. So we'll see. Like, I'm not feeling great matching up against you this week, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be the first one to dethrone the king here.
Yeah, you usually could. I mean, old Blake's up there with like 10 trillion points. I mean, he's got some good people on his team. You're balanced as well. You got a lot of people.
All right, so here's the thing. So you're at the top of the league. Looking at the bottom of the league, we'll just go bottom 3 teams, because 2 out of the 2 teams are not making the playoffs this year. The 10 teams are making the playoffs. We expanded it because of all the COVID stuff. So 2 teams aren't making the playoffs. So we got our bottom 3 in the standings. And here's what I want to know from your take between Sanchez's squad, just not good enough, Lewis's squad, Drew Grit, which I actually is probably my favorite, like updated. Everybody does different. Some people keep the same. You and me and Andrew, we all kind of keep the same team every year. And Daniel Broadwell does Joel and Youngbloods every year. Everybody else updates. I like that. But I like Drew Grit for the update this year. Anyway, and then we got Joel and the Youngbloods with Daniel Broadwell. Of those 3 squads, which of those 3, when you look at the roster, are you most surprised is in the bottom 3? Like, you look at it, you're like, I would have thought, just the way it looks, I would expect that team to be not in the bottom 3. Which one stands out to you that way?
So based on like team owner, at first, when I was first looking at this, I was like, how in the world are Joe and the Youngbloods doing so low on here? And he just won it last year.
That's right.
And so I'm thinking like, you have a keeper. I don't know if he kept his person or not, but this year he's at least proven his ability. But I think he's just not been setting his lineup here and there, and that's what's been, making his point total so low.
I would have loved if he had set his lineup a few times. And I really went through a little. I had to pray on it whether I needed to text and be like, "Hey, Zion and Ingram are both on your bench," and decided not to let him know. I figured that's just part of it. It's all right.
Yeah.
So I can access to that.
You're like, you can't be helping somebody else set their lineup here. I'm sitting here like, when is this lineup set? I can't wait for 7 p.m. to see this lineup get set. So.
Okay, but that's a good point. So what are your other thoughts about the other guys?
Yeah. So it's Bill's team that surprises me with the record, because he's got a ton of points. He's only like 250 points behind my team on like the total number of points, yet he's 1-4. Like he was 0-4 until last week. Now he put up a big number last week, and so he's clearly a decent team. And I don't know what this trade's going to do, because like, even though he's pulling one of the better players in the league, you've also got you're losing a little bit of balance by doing that. It's a 3 versus 2 trade, and there's I don't know what that'll have. What happens a lot is you may get a really good player, but he plays on the same night as your other center all the time, and so like you're really not gaining any, extra points on that Thursday night game or whatever. And so I don't, who knows what will happen there, but he surprised me with that record. I think he's just getting some raw matchups, and he didn't set his lineup a couple times. In one of the matchups.
And the Harden set that him up too, like all the Harden weirdness, I think also threw his team off a lot, because there at one point, I think when the Harden trade first happened, there were like 5 players on his roster that all had like moving pieces related to that. And Harden himself hasn't, he's figuring stuff out, for real. So I think you're right. I think Bill's maybe one of those by the end of the season, we look back like, whoa, that's very different. 1 and 4 might flip around the other direction for Bill.
Yeah. And man, this COVID stuff has been wild. You just never know when somebody's going to be on the bench or when a whole game's going to be postponed. And like, I'm like, man, I'd like it to postpone when I'm up by like 300 points or something, so that game can come back during my matchup with so-and-so.
Right.
Get an extra play out of Damian Lillard or something. That's what I was surprised about last week. I think he only played for me twice last week, and one of his games got postponed. And
still pulling up. All right, so speaking of the trade, we'll finish with this. Who do you feel like wins that trade? So William is sending out Anthony Davis and Chris Paul. Bill is sending out, Gobert, Rashawn Holmes, Ben Simmons. Who do you think wins that trade, either from what they got now or projecting out? Like, does Chris Paul improve as the season goes on? He's with the Suns more. Does Ben Simmons, if he gets traded later in the season, does his value go down, or does he go up the longer he's with Doc Rivers? What do you think as far as who wins that trade?
It's hard to know. Like what I was just saying, I'm going to guess that William wins that trade. Davis has been good, but he's averaging, I think, like 45, it's good, obviously, but it's not 55, 60 like some of these players will put up, over the course of a year. And so you never know. Like Davis, he gets those little those minor injuries that just kind of plague him all year, and he misses a game, and then he misses another game here, and that just murders fantasy when you lose, one of your players even one night, out of the week. And so, the 3-2 trade, I think, is what gives the favor over to William there. But you never know. Like Davis could turn it on and start putting up 55 a night, which would not surprise anybody. And Simmons, I don't know. He's performed, I guess, how you would think he would over the year, but it just seems like he has more in him. So his upside is still there. If he comes out now, I hope he doesn't, because that means he's taking points away from my guys. I got 2 Sixers on my team, so I hope he just stinks it up the rest of the year.
You're hoping that he goes way down.
Yeah, but
when I first saw the trade, I thought, man, Williams getting hosed with this one. But then I looked at it, I was like, well, AD, to your point, he's not scoring as many as I thought he was. And then Chris Paul wasn't scoring as many as I thought he was. And Gobert and Simmons are pretty high. So we'll see. I think like
Go ahead.
No, I was saying I think there's big potential that William could lose this trade pretty hard if Davis and Paul go up. And I just have a feeling Paul could go up as he gets more familiar with his guys in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But if not, it may go the other way. So what were you saying?
So that's the stat you said about Paul going up. I would normally think Chris Paul's not going up. How old is he now? Like, he's kind of in the twilight of his career. He's not going to be just putting out huge numbers. But I was watching the Suns game the other night, and they showed a stat on the screen about how Paul and Booker, when they're on the court at the same time, it was like horrible stats. Like they have not gelled yet. Right. But when it was just Chris Paul or just Booker and the rest of the team, stats were, great for both of them. And so they were making the point on there, like, man, if they can get this together, like they could be doing even better than they are. They're doing pretty good so far, the Suns. So, we'll see. There is some upside to Chris Paul.
Looks like it. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll leave it at that. Everybody's on notice. Dan O'War is on the warpath, but in a very humble sort of way where he thinks you shouldn't be scared of him, which is actually the people you should be most scared of in war are the people that tell you not to be scared of them.
I'm going to be dropping a big like $200 transaction sometime late in the year.
Yeah, you're saving all this money.
Somebody's got to somebody good.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.